pod.gr.
You're listening to the Net Zero Podcast, a podcast that focuses not only on the critical issue of climate change, but also on the corporate response to deal with this defining crisis of our time.
Dear all, I'm Vivian Bouzali, General Manager of Communication and Strategic Marketing in Mytilineos. In today's episode, we're looking back to Mytilineos history. We will talk about the commitments recently announced by the company towards a sustainable future. We will discuss the ESG criteria being on the spotlight lately, and we will raise the issue of climate change from the business's perspective. Mytilineos has recently committed to reducing its emissions by 30% by 2030 and to reach net zero emissions by 2050, becoming the first Greek company, as well as one of the leading industries in Europe and worldwide, to set clear objectives and to commit itself to minimizing its carbon footprint. But before I share some views on how industry can become greener and more environmentally friendly, paving the way to the future, I would like to say a few words about Mytilineos and how we became what we are at present. Mytilineos history dates at the beginning of the 20th century, when it laid the foundation of gradually becoming an industry benchmark. In 1908, the small metallurgy industry, Mytilineos, used to operate in Piraeus as a fast-growing family business. Since then, a lot has changed. Evangelos Mytilineos took over the company's helm in 1978, and in 1990, he founded Mytilineos Group, transforming the old metallurgy family company. In 2017, turning it into a new single business entity. This new entity, Mytilineos, is the result of a merger of three subsidiaries, Aluminium of Greece, Metka, and Protergia. Since its establishment, Mytilineos has been constantly growing and is therefore considered one of our country's leading companies with a significant international activity. Today, Mytilineos is a leading industrial and energy company with a strong presence in all 5 continents. The company's strong international presence in more than 30 countries establishes Mytilineos as a global leader, while its exports to markets abroad account for more than 2% of total Greek exports, with significant benefits for the national economy. The company operates 4 business units: the power and the gas business unit, the metallurgy business unit, the renewables and storage development, and the sustainable engineering solutions business unit. The company's focus on sustainability is reinforced by its subsidiaries. Epalme is the largest independent producer of recycled aluminium, as well as by the startup Zeologic, specialized in providing innovative solutions in solid and liquid waste treatment. Our activity showcases that sustainable development is a key priority for Mytilineos, a multi-faced practice, a conscious self-commitment to responsible entrepreneurship and to continuous improvement. It's worth noting that our company strategy for sustainable development has always been based on the harmonious coexistence between our business's activity and our visionary policies. We're seeking our growth through our business model that responds to global challenges, aligning strategic priorities with the 17 Global Sustainable Development Goals as set by the United Nations. It is a universal set of objectives, targets, and indicators that United Nations member states are expected to implement in order to frame their agendas and policies by 2030. Therefore, our policy is fully in line with these objectives, while our framework of actions incorporates social and environmental practices and commitments, always remaining a step further ahead of the Greek and the European regulatory requirements, and with a scope of responsibility beyond the narrow business framework. I have to say that this is the attribute that makes us stand out as a company. Realizing the role and responsibility we carry as an industrial company, The only way forward is to be at the forefront of sustainable development, minimizing, as a top priority, our activities' impact on the natural environment. This is a constantly evolving process based on an integrated environmental management system across all our business units. It involves investing in upgrading our production processes, capitalizing on new technologies, and of course, applying the best available techniques. We also acknowledge that our development is linked to the prosperity and progress of the local communities where we run our activities. To this end, we are contributing to society by implementing programs and actions that support the next generation. We collectively and systematically attempt to identify needs at the local and national levels. Wherever we can, we try to help, to supplement, to support and promote in order to create long-term sustainable value for all our partners. In a nutshell, we believe that business excellence and the development of the company must capture the morals and values that uphold our unbroken link with society, our employees, and the environment. Our strategic priorities, therefore, focus on ensuring a healthy and safe working environment for our employees, on our commitment to reducing our environmental footprint through innovative and sustainable practices and measurable results, and to adopting new methods that strengthen our corporate governance and transparency within our ESG approach. So, what are the ESG criteria? We respond to specific environmental, social, governance criteria, a set of performance indicators, KPIs, defining business behavior that are used by potential investors focusing on socially responsible investment. The ESG criteria are reflected in the way we manage the impact of our operation on the natural environment and the way we cooperate with a wider social ecosystem. This ecosystem includes employees and every link in a chain, starting from suppliers and customers up to the local communities where we do our business. As regards the environmental criterion, our action is geared towards achieving objective targets and indicators, and not just being business leaders. Our intention is to play an active role in the sustainable future as an industry. This future should involve every enterprise, regardless of size and financial strength. By now, we all know very well that climate change is one of the greatest challenges of our times, and that tackling climate change is even more challenging. Recently, following a lot of work and planning, we announced the company's strategic priorities for sustainable development and our ambitious targets for the future. To achieve a 30% reduction in emissions across our entire business activity by 2030 compared to 2019 levels, and to reach net zero emissions by 2050. One could say that these targets are rather bold. In Mytilineos, we believe that such targets are actually a necessity and that they represent our contribution to the global effort to mitigate climate change. We are particularly proud given that we are the first industrial company in Greece and one of the first in the world to take such a step. But at the same time, we understand that we have an obligation to put all of our strength into working for a better and more sustainable future. We are determined to go far beyond what is expected of us as a company and to achieve sustainable results. There's no better time than now to accept the challenge and to start acting. And we are encouraged by the fact that we are not alone in this endeavor. We're joined by our stakeholders, companies, institutions, and academics who share this common purpose, understand its importance, and are determined to contribute to the global effort. We wanted to bring this ecosystem even closer together, and this is why we came up with the idea of organizing a conference on the crucial issue of climate change, presenting the position of our country, of Europe, and the industry's outlook. And we did it. Mytilineos is opening up the discussion on the fight against climate change in order to shed light on the aspects that will help us implement our ambitious plan, not just at the company level, but also as the entire society, that needs to be fully engaged in this endeavor. In order to do this, we need to train and get trained, and to assimilate this mentally as part of our DNA. For Mytilineos, this process started many years ago, when the environmental issue was not a trendy discussion topic. And we started this process in a very substantial way, with major environmental investments at Aluminium of Greece, by changing the company structure and creating a general director for corporate governance and sustainable development, by integrating strategic business activities for this purpose, such as the development of the Renewables and Storage Development Business Unit and the Sustainable Engineering Solutions Business Unit. Let us return to the summit I mentioned earlier. Thanks to technological capabilities enabling us to meet remotely, we held the first virtual summit on net zero action, from challenge to opportunity for accelerated and sustainable value creation. Its aim was to bring together expert opinions from around the world on a global issue, to raise awareness on ESG issues, and to stimulate further social dialogue. Particularly today, in the critical context of the pandemic, it becomes increasingly urgent to redefine our values in a way that creates the basis for a better future for all. We had the pleasure and the honor of hosting prominent speakers from across Europe and the rest of the world. Over 20 representatives from the international business and academic communities, as well as institutional bodies. They exchanged views and took a stance on many climate-related issues, which are now more relevant than ever. The summit commenced with a discussion between Mytilineos Chairman and CEO, Evangelos Mytilineos, and Dana Perkins, Head of Bloomberg Europe, Middle East and Africa. Mr. Mytilineos stressed the need to design new, innovative tools to support the green transition of the European economy in order to facilitate the achievement of our climate commitments. In the first panel, entitled The Burning Platform, Climate Change as the Imperative of Our Time, participants focus on the global importance of climate change and the need for international action, while reviewing the main points of the European Green Deal. The second panel, titled Turning the Action for Climate Change into an Opportunity for Accelerated and Sustainable Value, the case of Greece, focused on Greece's response on climate change challenges. The third discussion panel, The Business Perspective, highlighted businesses' role and visions on this issue and on ESG commitments. I am delighted that our company took such a step towards making net zero emissions a reality. Sustainability is becoming the spearhead, our strategic priority, and a platform for long-term value creation in the upcoming years. Concluding this podcast, at Mytilineos, we are all looking forward to continuing the discussion, and we are committed to advancing it through our decisions to reduce our environmental footprint, to forge a more direct relationship with our local communities, and our commitment to good governance.
This was the Net Zero podcast by Mytilineos, the first Greek company that sets clear targets and is committed to minimizing its carbon footprint. I am your hostess, Eratos Zourofidou. Producer, Youla Rapti. Sound editing, Giorgos Vavanos. Follow us and download all episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also stream this and future episodes on www.mytilineos.gr.
Pod.gr. Sounds good.